we're gonna blow this thing up. It's gonna be phenomenal. For the next 30 to 40 minutes, we're gonna be talking about some amazing things that will absolutely change the course of your life if you listen, if you open up your heart, and if you apply the stuff that we're going to be talking about. So tonight, I have a very, it's a very special. He's a very special guest, and I'm super pumped to have him here because I think what happens is the way God orchestrates relationships in the kingdom. It's such a special way, and you never know how these things are going to come about. So what I want you to do is, as you guys join in, just go ahead and start sending this thing out. Just there's this little airplane right on the bottom of your screen. Just go ahead and start sending this to at least 5 people. I'm going to do that right now. Oops, I want to go back here. I want to make sure that I send this to some friends. If you're on Instagram, go ahead and start sending this out. Share this. Let's just go ahead and do it. Let's just go ahead and share this thing up with some of your friends, and because I think it's going to be very, very special tonight. We're going to be talking about kingdom business, and every time kingdom business is talked about, transformation happens right here on earth. So if you're watching me right now, make sure you start sharing this thing with your friends. Now, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, actually, if you're on Facebook, let's just go ahead and share this thing too on Facebook. Let's make sure we get as many people as possible. I'm about to bring my guest tonight here. His name is Steve Penate. He's fired up. I'm not gonna. I'm just going to bring him in, and let's make the best out of our time together. Steve, I know he's ready. Let me just go ahead and bring Steve in. Hold on, just a touch. He is right here on Instagram, bringing him in, and I'm also bringing him in right here on Facebook. Steve, do you see me here? All righty.
Hey, we're on.
Very, very good. Hold on a second. Let me just do a little control moment here. Can you see me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yep. I can hear you loud and clear. I see you here, and I see you here.
All right. So for all of our friends who are watching right now, whether you're watching us right here on Facebook and YouTube, or if you're watching us on Instagram, I want you to know that we're going to be kind of going back and forth a little bit with our eyes because we're looking at 2 different cameras, but don't let this bother you. We're going to keep on speaking live over the screens today. Steve, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to be here with us. It means the world.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am super excited how we actually know each other. You actually were here in Fort Worth a year ago.
That's right.
Visiting us here and so on. So it's exciting. That's we actually know each other from here.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I think the way God orchestrates relationships in the kingdom, it always has a bigger plan than what we can understand at the moment. I remember the last year when you guys were getting ready to launch Mercy Culture Church in Fort Worth. I was just watching from a distance, and to make a long story short, I ended up going there the week after you guys launched the church. We briefly connected there, but there was something new that sparked the curiosity. That I say, well, there's something about this guy that sparked in my spirit, and I said, well, let me keep on watching him from a distance, and that's what I did, and I could see that your passion for business, your passion for the kingdom, really matched the passion that I have to not only encourage people to understand the value of kingdom in business, but also understand the impact that it creates. So thank you so much once again for being here with us. Why don't you go ahead, Steve, and just share a little bit with us about your background, where you're coming from, what area of business that you're involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So in business, I'm actually in real estate, and so I am the designated broker of a company here in Fort Worth. I actually started my real estate business back in Phoenix, Arizona. Top 1%. Last year, hosted a conference. Four real estate agents sold it out. It's exciting to see the favor of God, that has been in everything we're doing when it comes to business. And so fast forward, I'm actually now in Fort Worth, Texas, in the Dallas area. And so my one of my best friends, Landon Schott, called me back in 2017 and says, "Hey man, I heard from the Lord, let's kind of church in Fort Texas." And so in that moment, I was literally at the peak of my business, just
Wow.
having fun, making a lot of money, and so it was literally one of those moments where it's God.
Wow.
And so it has been incredible. We actually moved here to Texas full time about a year and a half ago, and I remember, look at this, Mercy Culture Church started in an Airbnb. Okay.
No way.
Okay, started in an Airbnb with 4 people. Okay, and a year and a half later, after planting it last Easter, we are over 3,000 people.
Okay, no, you're gonna have to repeat this again because I didn't hear you well. How many people again?
Yeah, over 3,000 people call Mercy Culture their home church and so on. We are seeing just an explosives, just an explosion of God's presence that is coming every single week. So with that said, also, launching the brokerage, here in Texas. We've seen the favor of God. In 1 year, we're almost up to 20 agents. We are obviously, everyone that has a pulse right now knows that the real estate industry is just exploding. It's booming, and so we're also, seeing that here. It's a little bit, of, right now, making, in the real estate world, everyone's making money, literally, and so it's a we've been able to see the favor of God when COVID hit. Okay, so many, operated in fear instantly. Oh my gosh, the shutdowns, economy, what's going to happen in that season? We heard from the Lord, you are going to thrive, not survive.
Come on.
And so it has been literally exciting to see the hand of God, his favor, the influence, really grow, so it's been awesome.
That's so good. And one of the things that I see, because I've experienced, changing, from, I was going in one direction, last year. Well, 2 years ago, I moved from Louisiana to Boston to plant the church, and as I was going through the process, there was a shift in the journey, and it didn't happen the way I was expecting it to happen. But another door that was so great that opened up a huge door of opportunity just came open right in front of me. And I think, Steve, that as we grow, as we experience God's favor, like you said, I mean, you've been experiencing God's favor in a way that is just, outstanding. It's just phenomenal. But I think a lot of the younger people, this younger generation that is coming, there's something that they need to connect to so they can learn to hear God in moments like, okay, you just said, okay, COVID hit. Everybody was seeing the economy for what it looked like in the natural realm. But there was something about you there was something in you that said, okay, you're not gonna survive. You're gonna thrive. And when everybody else is just trying to survive.
Yeah, there's one of my favorite passages is in Exodus 33, verses 15 and 16. God calls Moses and says, Moses, bring the people. Okay, it's time. Okay, to bring them in to the promised land. And so I love the response Moses had. He said, God, hey, we're going, but I want to make sure you understand that we won't go without your presence. And then he says something very interesting. He says this, because it's your presence that is going to make us distinct.
Okay.
Distinct. Okay, it's your presence that is going to separate us. It's your presence that is going to make us look different from the others. It's your presence that is going to distinguish us. It's your presence that is going to mark us. It's your presence that is going to shower us with favor. You see, it's amazing. One of the things I say constantly is this: God is not looking for good business people. God is looking for godly business people, those that have an ear to hear what he is saying, and so in so many ways, with so much going on right now, everything is upside down in God's kingdom. But I'm telling you this, look at this, we are going to be entering a season, okay, where I believe God is going to raise up a prophetic business people, okay, that are able to really hear God in business. Remember, look at this. What everyone looks for strategy. Very few are looking to hear what God is saying. Everyone wants to read the latest.
Okay. Say it again. Say it again, because you just hit a nerve right there. Everybody's looking for strategy, but what?
Yeah, everyone is looking for a man-made strategy. Very few are actually looking to hear what God is saying. So many people want to hear the human voice. Very few people are actually waiting to hear God's voice. And I'm telling you, look at this. God's voice is what is going to separate people. One of the things is, one of the most incredible things about leading what you do, okay? Leading what you do with you saying, I won't go without your presence. This is what happens, is that kingdom comes. And so many people want to have impact, but very few people want to have kingdom impact. There's a big difference. We live in a society where everybody wants to be everybody wants to be motivated. Everybody wants to be encouraged. And there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, okay. But the last time I was reading my Bible, a motivational word doesn't change a life, but one word from God will shift everything in a person's life, and so I believe that God is looking for people that are able to hear. Look at this. I know a lot of business people that make a lot of money. Okay, I know a lot of people that make a lot of money that are still looking for significance.
Okay. And this is so counterintuitive.
Yeah. So look at this. As a Christian, okay, as a business leader in the kingdom, okay, our heart should be God's heart. Our heart shouldn't be, how much money I should make, even though that is in that there is nothing wrong in that. Okay. I believe that's a byproduct of things you do. Okay. The ultimate goal in God's kingdom is people. Okay. And so many people, look at this, so many people approach business from a very selfish perspective. From the sense of, and and in itself, there really is nothing bad with it. There is nothing bad about wanting more. Our human nature is
True.
to want more. You know what I'm saying? God said, be fruitful and
Yep, yep,
multiply.
yep.
I believe within
And
everyone's soul,
multiply.
within the heartbeat of man, of human, is the desire for more. That is literally
Yep.
a God given, you know, heart. It's in us to always want more. It's in us to always want to grow. The moment, look at this, the moment one, well, it's that's why right now, especially, right now in the season we're in, the enemy is after our hope. The moment he can take hope from you is the moment you
Mm.
begin to
Wow.
die. You know what I'm saying? In us is
Yeah.
the innate desire to 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 want more, to grow more. I have never met a business person that hasn't thought, how am I going to grow more? So in
Yeah.
itself, that's okay. That is human nature. What's not okay is this, is that most people stop there without truly understanding the heart of God is on the other side
Mm.
is people. God is on a mission and
Because
not to prosper you. Deuteronomy says, he has given us the power to create wealth, and people love to stop there because people start thinking, shoot, I'm gonna buy a car, I'm gonna buy a house, I'm gonna buy some Gucci, I'm gonna buy some Louis.
yeah,
But people always stop after
yeah,
they feel they have read and or heard what their human nature wants. But the
right.
last half of that verse, says, so that his purposes would be established.
Established in the earth. Yeah, absolutely. And I see that the more revelation of that can you imagine, Steve? Because we see a lot of business people in high levels who are creating impact. They're solving problems. We think of the Bill Gateses of the world that are solving problems and things like that. But at the end of the day, there's a portion of society that know people that are your neighbor. There's a problem that your neighbor or your neighborhood that you could solve
I
if you
love
if
that.
you would understand. Okay, God gives me power to create wealth so that His covenant to my neighborhood can be established. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And once again, at the heart of everything, our heart should be that God, why do you have me here? Would you open doors so that
Mm.
my business can grow, so that your kingdom would expand? But like, very few people ask, hey God, what is my part in this? We have so many people that honestly want money but want to hold on to it. I believe
Yeah.
that, like so many people, I believe that God would prosper so many people if they would actually connect with his heart with a hand like this.
Wow.
And so, at the end of the day, ultimate fulfillment, you know, your soul being fulfilled, your soul being
Yep.
satisfied. Money is not going to do that. Awards, accolades, it's not going to do that. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to, you are going to be fulfilled. You are going to feel you are playing your part here on earth the moment you're able to connect with God's heart in whatever business he has you doing.
That's so. And Steve, I think one of the passions that I have, and I know that this is true for you too, is really to, okay, how can we lay out a foundation for the next generation to come? Because I think for many years business was such a distant concept. And nowadays, with the advance of technology, business is like it's right around the corner from you. You open the door, you open your computer, business is right there. Everybody has access. Everybody, everybody can make money, whether it's through social media, whether it's, opening a Shopify account and then all of a sudden you're selling millions of dollars, whether it's, becoming a real estate agent and a broker, whatever it is. It feels like today it's so much closer than what it was before. But now there's a whole generation that is coming, but there's a need for a foundation to be laid of understanding of these principles. Because think about it. If they can
so good.
If people can make a lot of money, if people can become really prosperous financially, without the understanding of timeless principles that we get in the Word of God, what if they connect with truths that have been established before the foundations of the earth? Wouldn't that change everything?
Everything, absolutely.
So I want. There's something that we talked about, when we talked on the phone a few days ago, because I really wanted you to touch on that. I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget it. Here's the deal. There's a lot of people that equate financial growth or financial stability with freedom. Okay. And one of the things that you said to me is okay, we need to have an understanding about freedom, because what was it you said? I think becoming free there was more responsibility than being a slave. What was the concept that you mentioned to me that day? It really blew my mind.
Yeah. So let me preface this like that. Okay, look at this. We live in a society, in a culture, okay, in the Instagram culture, as a matter of fact, like, earlier I was talking with a friend of mine, and then he was telling me, my gosh, man, dude, you post so much videos, you make it seem so easy, and so and so in so many ways, we live in a culture, in a society where everybody wants things easy and everybody wants things free. As a matter of fact, I would argue this, okay, when someone thinks of the word entrepreneur, when someone says, I want to be an entrepreneur, what they are really saying is this: I want freedom. Or they're saying, I don't want anybody to tell me what I have to do, when I have to do. I don't want to clock in, they say, and so, I always say this, okay? The fact that you quit your job doesn't make you an entrepreneur. It actually makes you stupid, because now you're broke and unemployed.
So true.
So like, so many people have a misconception of what freedom actually means, especially freedom in the kingdom of God, and so I believe, we live in a time where it's so important to truly understand, what freedom actually is. Okay. I always put it like this. Okay. The responsibility of freedom is far greater than the responsibility of being enslaved and or oppressed. Okay. So in order to understand freedom, we also have to understand what it means to be oppressed. The number one goal of the enemy is to have you mentally oppressed. Okay. From a natural standpoint, we've seen in previous, in history, where there has actually been physical oppression. For example, back in the days of slavery, we use the example of the Hebrew people in Egypt. They were an enslaved nation. Okay. They were told when they had to wake up. They were told when they had to work. They were, told when they could stop. They were told when they can eat. They were oppressed, not only physically, but they were oppressed mentally. Okay. And so from that perspective, it's wild, because, someone in that moment, they would consider being enslaved and or being oppressed hard. And then reason why is because, another human is forcing their will upon you. Genesis 1:26, God said we are to have dominion over the
Yep.
earth, over the animals in the air, the animals in the sea, over the earth. It says over everything except over one another.
That's
Okay.
true.
Okay, so we are to have dominion and or rule over. Okay, the word freedom comes from the root word dom, or dominion. Okay, or freedom is being free to have dominion of a environment of where you're at. Adam and Eve were to have dominion of the garden they were in. They were to rule over, not over one another, over the atmosphere, over the environment, over their workspace.
Okay.
Okay. So biblically speaking, okay, freedom would be considered, okay, being free to use your gifts and your talents, okay, to have dominion over your environment, and through that his purposes would be established, so that your gifts are not only for you but it's for those around you.
Okay. Now, hold it. I can you please repeat that? What does that freedom mean? Because that was right there. That was a whole lot of truth that you said there. Freedom means the ability of using your gifts. Come on, could you say that
Yeah,
again?
so biblical freedom, okay, is you being free to exercise your giftings, your talents, okay, to bring and have and have dominion over the environment where God has placed you in. Okay. The moment you're able to exercise your talents, your giftings, your passion in a certain place, all of a sudden you're able to create atmospheres where God's kingdom can come through you. That's exactly what happened in the garden. So therefore, with that said, the enemy doesn't want you to find you. The enemy doesn't want you to exercise your giftings. The enemy doesn't want you to connect with you. And so one of the biggest ways he does that is to keep you oppressed, not really physically, but oppressed mentally. Okay.
Wow.
And so if we go back to the concept of being oppressed, okay, when you are oppressed, when you're in oppression, it seems like it's hard, okay? But on the flip side, you are being told when you have to wake up. You are being told when you can eat. You are being told when you have to work. You are being told when you have to start working, when you have to finish working, who you have to work with.
Right.
You literally don't have to think about anything.
True. True.
Because check this out. It's crazy because in slavery, everything is literally given to you.
Right.
Okay. So
that's true.
So when you are enslaved, you feel that it's hard because someone is forcing their will on you. On the flip side, you honestly don't have to do much to eat or drink because everything is provided to you as well. You're told when to work, you're told when to eat. You are literally told when you can do everything, okay? On the flip side, okay? Look at this. On the flip side, okay? So then freedom, okay? As I stated prior, okay, the responsibility of freedom is far greater. The weight of freedom, carrying the burden of being able to be free, is far greater than that of someone who is oppressed. And so when you see it from that perspective, all of a sudden, it's actually a very high price a person has to pay to step into freedom, because now you have to carry something that is not easy to carry. So when we talk about stepping into the freedom that God wants you to have, all of a sudden, look at this. Watch how hard it is to truly step into freedom. The moment you begin to think you have, or you are coming into a season of really knowing who you are, okay, of discovering your giftings, of those seasons where, you know what, man, I am going to start reading different books. I am going to grow. I am going to find myself. I am going to step. I am going to step into who God made me to be. Okay, check this out. The moment you begin to do that, okay, and then you began to exercise a different lifestyle, well, all of a sudden, those closest to you began to tell you, oh, wow, who do you think you are? You know what I'm saying? Listening to podcasts now.
Steve, hold on
listening
just a
to,
second. It looks like I'm okay, hold on. The Instagram was kind of freezing up a little bit. I was missing you here. Hold on just a touch. Guys, just let me know if you're still listening to hearing us okay on Instagram. Just give me some feedback here. Because it looks like your Instagram was freezing up a little bit, and I couldn't really hear you. I'm sorry about that.
No,
all right, let's
good.
go back. Okay, good. Let's go back. Now we're good. It might have been a little bit of just the internet just freezing up a little bit.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah. So and so okay. So look at this. The responsibility of being free all of a sudden takes on a new level of responsibility, because now there is no one telling you what to do. You have to tell yourself what to do.
So true.
Okay. So check this out. Look at this. Here's out. In slavery. Okay. In slavery. Okay. There was 4 hours of work. Let's just say. Okay. Mm-hmm. In freedom, there's 8. Okay. Look at this. Here's out. People attribute less in freedom and more in slavery, but it's actually the opposite. Everything increases. Everything increases in freedom. Your work increases. Okay? Your responsibilities increase.
Yep.
Okay? Your time spent increases. And so it's incredible to see. Look at this. It's up. So many people can't carry the burden of freedom, and so it's easier just to stay in bondage. It's easier just to stay oppressed, because in oppression, everything is done for you. Look at this. It's very important to understand this concept, okay? It's very important to understand this concept as a business person, okay? Is that leaving a place doesn't mean you're free, okay?
Okay.
For example, when the people of Israel, okay, when they were delivered from Egypt, okay, they were physically set free, okay, but God had them in the desert for 40 years because mentally they were still oppressed. Okay. Okay. So what happened? Okay. God's goal, okay, was for them to embrace the responsibility of being free. And so what happened? Now they are in the desert, and since they don't know how to carry that responsibility of freedom, they start whining.
Yeah,
Okay, they started saying, you
that's
know
right.
what, God,
That's
we had
right.
it way, we had it way easier when we were slaves. So God, in His mercy, says, fine, 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 fine. You know what? I am gonna make sure you have everything. So they would wake
Right.
up, and then manna or food for the day was right outside their tents.
Right.
Okay, when it was hot, God would bring a cloud. At nighttime, they would whine, we can't see. God would bring a pillar of fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whenever they were thirsty, God would say, fine, hit a rock. Okay. And so many people live like that. Okay. Live like that and think that is the blessing of God. Okay.
Wow.
But God was like, I can't get you into the promised land because you can't bear the responsibility of freedom. You still need someone to do everything for you.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
and so
Wow. Wow.
you know, and so on a very practical level, you know, so many people are so afraid to step into certain things, okay, because once they begin to attempt to step into freedom, well, all of a sudden the responsibility of it is so far greater than saying, you know what,
Wow.
forget it. I will just stay comfortable here. Okay. I would say this, you know, being in a state of comfort is not being in a state of freedom. The number one goal of the enemy is to keep you oppressed so that you never step into freedom. Or, you know, the number one goal of the enemy was to keep Israel circling in the desert. It's crazy. There are Christians, okay,
Wow.
that will live their whole lives, okay, delivered but not free. Okay, deliverance is not freedom. Okay, one of the best example is this. Okay, people in jail, whenever they are, they we say, oh, they are free from jail. Well, no, they are physically delivered. Okay,
Right.
but they go into society mentally oppressed, and that's why, you know, the estimates are like over 88% of
Yeah.
people, you know, in prison within 2 years end up back in prison.
That's
They
so
were
true.
never
Yeah,
free.
absolutely.
They were physically delivered, but mentally they were
Still
never able
oppressed.
to actually step into freedom. And so what
Wow.
happens is this, is that so many times, you know, God just keeps people in circles, I say, out of the goodness of his heart. But the ultimate plan for us is never the desert, is to truly step into what God has for us. But in order to step into the promised land, it actually takes a person to be willing to bear
Mm-hmm.
the burden of what freedom entails.
Because what's going to happen, Steve, is somebody who steps into freedom. We're talking about this real level of freedom where you're not only eating the fruit of it, but you're also bearing the responsibility. Because so if we go back to the people of Israel here, if God lets them into the promised land too soon, everybody's going to get annihilated. They're going to get killed in a second because they don't know how to fight. They don't have that mindset. They don't have the mental toughness to really go after it and really make it happen. So it's better, like you said, let me keep them encircling here to see if we can create that mind change so they can be transformed here first. So by the time they hit the land, now they know that they have the toughness that they're going to need to really step into freedom. That's come on, guys. If you're watching this right now, Steve, just give me a quick second because I need to know if you're watching this right now. If this is blessing you, why don't you go ahead, just hit that little heart right now. Hit this little heart that's right on the bottom of the screen right here, guys. There's a little heart. Hit this thing bad right now. Let's just hit it. So maybe somebody else who needs to listen to this thing will pop in, because I'll tell you what, this is amazing, amazing. I'll tell you, this should be preached every Sunday.
Look this. This back to the people of Israel. Look at this. He's up. God promised them to take them into a land that flowed with milk and honey.
Right.
Okay. Like you were saying, okay, they couldn't get free here. He had them circle. Okay. Watch what happens though. What happens is this, is that the Bible says, okay, that a generation had to die in the desert. Okay. Moses even died. Moses never made it into the promised land. A generation had to die. Or in other words, I can't take that mentality into the promised land because the promised land carries such a responsibility of freedom. That mindset can't handle it. So watch what happens. In the promised land, we have a promise of milk and honey, but they get to the promised land and all of a sudden they wake up and guess what? There ain't no manna.
So true.
But you know what there is? There are 1,000 cows on a hill waiting for someone to wake up at 3 a.m. to go milk them so that they can feed their families.
Wow.
Freedom comes with a responsibility. If you are working right now, you should consider that God's blessing in your life. It's a door. It's an opportunity for you to be able to connect with the giftings God has put in your life to find the freedom to exercise dominion in your environment so that God's presence and his kingdom can come through you.
Wow. And it's amazing because I keep on thinking that that's not what we see, we're talking about freedom. We're talking about the next generation. We're talking about coaching and mentoring this next generation of entrepreneurs or in marketplace leaders. That's not what what we are seeing, what these people are seeing as they look up social media, they look on internet, they look on TV. That's not the image. It just looks like everything's easy. It looks like the manna was transferred into the promised land, but that's not true.
Absolutely. So look at this. In so many ways, not to get into not to get into a political sense, but if we're honest, we should be weary. We should be weary, cautious. Okay, when a government wants to give you everything. Okay, wow. we should be cautious. Okay, when young people want to embrace a mindset of give us everything, because what they're really saying is this: we want to stay oppressed because it's easy.
Wow. And it's amazing because even neurologically speaking, the brain is always looking for ways to be lazy and not work. There's a guy, I forgot his name, I think it's Don Miller or something like that, because every time you have to think, the brain has to burn calories to make those thoughts happen. And if you find a way to keep you in a comfortable zone, and you don't need to really think about creative ways to generate resources, really, engage people in order to create connections and network and really make it happen, talking a little bit more, in a practical way. It's way easier to stay in that place than to really go after, to challenge yourself, to communicate, to really step out of your comfort zone to make things happen. And like you said, nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is very important that we begin to raise up a generation that truly understands the responsibility of freedom.
Mm. That's so powerful. And you said something about, okay, I think you touched a little bit on it, but there was, just if we go back a little bit, you talked about provision and blessing. Some people, they enjoy provision, but they never step into the real blessing. What's the difference in that? When we talk about, living in a desert or stepping into the promised land. Because I think about it, you said, okay, you step into the promised land, nobody's giving you anything, but there's 1,000 cows out there in the hills that needs to be milked. There's a lot of honey out there, but there's a lot of bees out there too. So you're gonna get stung every once in a while.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dude, it's a, and people say it out of, the goodness of their heart. It's people don't just, people don't know, check out in the desert. Okay. In the desert, people call God providing his blessing. Okay. We have to understand that that is simply his provision, not necessarily his blessing. Okay. God is a good father. He will never forsake the righteous and allow them to beg for bread. God will somehow show up. You hear the stories, of the single mom, who opens up, their front door, and all of a sudden they have groceries for the whole week and so on. And so many people, say, oh my gosh, this is the blessing of the Lord. Well, in reality, it is his provision, because he's a good father and he's not going to let his children starve. In the desert. Okay, in the desert, God provides, as we said before, that people were hungry, they would wake up, they would have manna right outside their tent, food for the whole day. They were thirsty, go hit a rock. They were hot, there's a cloud. They couldn't see at night, there's a pillar of fire.
Right.
God is a God of provision, but his blessing was in the promised land. The blessing is so that you don't have enough, but it's more than enough. It's for you and someone else, But the blessing, it is crazy. Okay. Blessing is not you finding the check in the mail. That's just God being a good God. A blessing is spelled WORK. It's understanding that the blessing of God is found in the promised land, where there is milk and honey. Are you willing to wake up early and go milk the cows? Are you willing to get stung by the bees to extract the honey? And so we live in a time, in a culture where young entrepreneurs, want everything so easy, and God's saying in the promised land, there's blessing, but blessing comes with the responsibility of understanding that the weight of freedom far exceeds that of which is oppressed.
Wow. I'll tell you, Steve. I mean, I would love, well, if I could go back in time, maybe 10, 20 years to hear what I'm hearing right now, that would have changed so many things in my life. It's amazing. It's amazing because I think, especially, people, there's a lot of people who want to really have a great impact, but there's an inconsistent thought pattern that keeps them believing that living the life of the desert, where God gives you everything, in a sense, providing for you, is better. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, but they blame the people who actually wake up at 3 a.m. and go milk the cows. They talk bad about the people who actually go after those beehives to get the honey, because they just haven't understood God's promise was to give them a land that they were going to have to take. They were going to have to fight. They were going to have to kill some giants in order to take possession of the land. God never said just go there and everybody's going to be, the land is going to be clear so you can walk in.
Yep.
I don't know where we got that mindset from. I don't know where. Is it just bad teaching? You think it is? What's causing that?
I mean, look at this. We live in a culture where oppression keeps being pressed on us. Free college. Free this. Free that, and so on. I mean, all of those things, little by little, began to plant seeds, and eventually, we are seeing the fruit of that in so many ways.
Wow. So, Steve, we're kind of getting ready to wrap up here, and first of all, let me just say thank you so much for taking the time. I mean, if it's okay with you, I'm looking forward already to the next conversation we're going to have, because there's so much that we still need to unpack here. I just don't think 45 minutes to an hour is enough for to have this conversation. But what I wanted to do is just give you the next maybe two or 3 minutes just to speaking to the lives of young people who really want to step into this place of freedom in entrepreneurship and marketplace leadership. What are some practical things that you can tell, based on your journey, things that you did as a young person? Okay, do this thing, do these things, and it's going to change the course of your journey.
All right, look at this. I will leave you guys with this. Okay, you have to make sure. Okay, people. Jesus came for people. Okay, in everything we do, we have to keep people first, people ahead of us. Okay, as a business owner, I always make sure the other side is winning as well.
Wow.
Okay, as a business owner, I would lose so that the other person wins. Okay, check this out. It is one of the most powerful things, okay, that I have implemented in my business. Where I believe the favor of God, has been on my business, with having the perspective of people first. Check this out. There's a story. The story. Look at this. Watch. Check this out. People first. Everything is about people. What you do, your giftings are so that people around you might see God's kingdom. Your talents are so people around you might see God's goodness. What you do is so people around you would be blessed by what you do. That's why there is no job, there is no work that is insignificant. I remember, working at Starbucks back in college, and like literally I was on a mission to make sure the person on the other side, the person receiving the coffee, was about to leave my presence better, with the smile, laughing, something. Because everything is about people. What you do matters because someone on the other side is a human being. Everyone on the face of the planet right now is doing something that impacts people. Now, check this out. Look at this. Now, it is very important, okay? Even in your monetary goals, even, hey, I want to make, 100,000 this year. I want to make 200,000. I want to make, even in all those personal goals, so important that you make sure that within everything, people first. Check this out. You will never have, okay, godly vision for your life and for your business if it doesn't revolve around people first. You will never experience, okay, God's fullness. You will never be fulfilled in whatever you do if it's not people first. I will leave you with this. There's a story, okay? where Jesus, okay, heals a blind man. Okay. Okay. And then it's incredible what he does. Okay. Check this out. Look at this. It says, he brings him out of his environment. He takes him outside of the city. Okay. Once he's outside of the city, it's a famous story. God spits, makes mud, and then puts it on his eyes, and then Jesus asked him the first time, "What do you see?" He says, "I see people as trees." They are walking around. They look like trees. So then Jesus says, "Oh, okay, hold up a second. You're not seeing clearly yet, So he does it again, spits again, and then he says, "Hey, what do you see?" He's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm seeing people." He says, Look at this. Check this out. The first time he had blurred vision, he was seeing people as trees. And so as trees, what? And so in real life, on a very practical sense, okay, we get money from trees. We get desks from trees. We get chairs from trees. Or in other words, we use trees towards our personal gain, towards our personal advantage. And so Jesus was telling this guy, hey, you can't have clear vision if you're seeing people as objects for your own benefit.
Wow. Dang. Wow.
I'm saying if you're seeing your client as just another dollar, you will never have kingdom vision. If you are seeing your product as just a product to make money from people, you will never have kingdom vision for your business. You'll probably make money, but you will never find the fulfillment that God has for you on this earth, so that his purposes would be established. He told this blind guy, you will never be able to have clear vision if you see people as trees, as people as objects, as people that you can make money from. He says, hold up a second. We got to fix this. He does it again. He says, hey, what do you see? He said, oh my gosh, I'm seeing people. Okay. Vision comes whenever, whatever we do, we put people first. And so many people are so confused because they're not putting people first. So many people can never have clarity because they're not putting people first. So many people can't God, I'm not seeing things. Well, are you seeing people as people? Are you understanding that what God has put in your hands isn't necessarily for you, but on the other side is someone waiting to experience God's goodness?
Wow. Steve, I'll tell you what, that alone is worth $1 million. I'll be honest with you. Because it absolutely shifts the way business is conducted. A person that, that's a mentor of mine, that I've been listening to for a long time. He said that you can get anything in life that you want if you help enough other people get what they want. You can get anything in life that you want if you help enough other people get what they want. Basically, putting people first. That is, and again, I think it's on our daily activities. It's easy to forget that. So it's something that you have to constantly remind yourself. You have to constantly bring yourself back on track so that your motivation is right. God, because one of the things that I know and I believe, wholeheartedly, Steve, is that God desires to give us wealth. That's why he gives us power to produce wealth. But it's the understanding that, okay, guys, I need you to do this because that's how I'm going to, again, establish my covenant in the earth. There's a purpose to wealth. And I'm not holding it back. But I just want you to make sure, I want to make sure that before you step into that promised land, that again, I'm just kind of summarizing everything that you shared with us today. Your shoulders are ready to take on that responsibility. You got that mental toughness to really go after it with everything that you got. It looks like our Instagram time just went out. We're gonna keep kind of flowing here so we can wrap this up. We're on Instagram and YouTube still, not Instagram, on Facebook and YouTube still. So
yeah,
just kind of wrap up here, Steve. Steve, thank you so much, man. I honestly, I was. Let me just put a little volume here so I can hear you again. All righty, let me take these out. This was so clarifying. It was absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to, doing another one of these if you're open to it.
Let's do it, man. What an honor to be with you, really.